So what's in store today? It's an office hours. I've done this in the past since August of last year. I've been doing office hours most of the time for RoamStack members, sometimes for just the public. And I would like to do these build sessions more often. So specifically build templates and workflows with SmartBlocks, because I've noticed recently that there's not a lot happening in the Roam community when it comes to SmartBlocks. So I would really like to gain some inspiration, be challenged, and then together build templates, and then publish these publicly on RoamStack, maybe in the official SmartBlocks repository. But the idea is to really leverage all of our brain power, all of our inspiration. And I will be the acting chief nerd. I will help you through the clarifying your workflows, selecting commands. And the idea today is actually, I will give you some inspiration. I can show some of the things that I've built, but I would love to see you come up with some use cases. So if you already have a use case in mind, feel free to put it in the chat. If not, just let that question marinate in your mind for a few minutes and just write down whatever you would like to see, or something you think, oh, this should be easier to do in Roam. And very briefly about RoamStack, I suppose that most of you already know RoamStack. I see also RoamStack members here. It's basically a community of Roam power users. And again, I call myself the chief nerd, designated learner. I try to uncover all the complexities of Roam, and then only distill like the 20% that will get you that will help you get done the most, so like the 80%. And Roam can be seem very complex, although I think that more has to do with the way things are explained. Many Roam users are very technically proficient. Maybe some of you are programmers or have some experience with programming. So SmartBlocks, knowing that logic, SmartBlocks will come very naturally. And if you are not used to programming logic, well, this is, I think, a good start. So while you're thinking about what your use cases are, I just want to very briefly introduce SmartBlocks for just those who have never worked with it. And if you can, use the reaction feature. So I have the gallery view open, so you can react. And I would love to know who has never worked with SmartBlocks. You can just raise your hand if you have your camera on. Otherwise, just use the reactions functionality. Never worked with SmartBlocks. All right. Let's see. One person, it seems, but that's okay. I'm going to I'm going to introduce it. So first of all, SmartBlocks are a feature of Roam 42. If you don't have Roam 42 installed, you need to first install it. So you can head over to roamjs.com, go to docs, and then Roam 42. And I will put this link in the chat, if I can reach the chat. Oh, I see Dan and Maria have never used SmartBlocks, and then Roman is using them as a beginner. And then I see Justin, who would like to know a little bit more about interstitial journaling. All right, that's perfect. So you can download Roam 42. Simply click copy extension, go to your Roam/JS page, paste it in here, and then you click the button. Well, I can show it actually. Click this button. Yes, I know what I'm doing. So that is, once you have that, you're set. All right. So what are actually SmartBlocks? SmartBlocks are, simply put, a Roam template. So anything that a Roam template can do, you can do with SmartBlocks. So what is a Roam template? If you go to Roam/templates, you can create very simple templates, which you can then call just by using double semicolon. So that those are the basic templates. When should you use Roam template or just the Roam/templates? When you have plain text templates that don't require any interaction, that don't have any dynamic content. You just want to, it almost works like a text expander. So that is those are the basics. But the secret sauce of SmartBlocks are the commands, and the commands are, for anyone familiar with programming, they are like functions. So you can call a function, you can put in some parameters, and then it does something for you. So just an example, for example, you can say, I want to see all to-dos that were dated the day before today. And then the SmartBlock will go through your entire database back in time and retrieve all the to-dos that are still open. So that is one feature. That is impossible with Roam templates, the native Roam templates. So the building blocks of SmartBlocks, there are 4. First, you have the trigger, which for SmartBlocks is JJ. We'll look in a moment what you can do with that, because there are also some predefined functions. Then there's the workflow, which is essentially another name for the template. So it's the collection of all the blocks in one in one SmartBlocks template. Then you have the actions, which are the individual blocks. And within those actions, you have the dynamic part, which are the commands. I've already written and recorded some things about SmartBlocks, so I will paste this into the chat. I don't know, probably this will look like Markdown, so sorry. Yes, it looks like Markdown. But these are 3 resources which you could look into if you really wanted to have a deep dive. And for example, in this blog post, I look at a daily planning template with automatic retrieval of to-dos. With the weekly planning, I show how you can automatically generate date links. And then in this office hours, I go through 5 workflows. So the potential use cases, I've just thought of 3 top of my head, which I encounter most and for which I use it. So it's a daily structure. You have, for example, daily template with some placeholders, which you can activate on demand. For example, you can create a button that in turn triggers another workflow, another template. For weekly planning, I like to use it, and also for journaling. So for example, for journaling, you can retrieve a random prompt from a designated page. So, but today it's all about you. It's all about your challenges. It's about building together and getting started and figuring out how to actually do things. So I am quickly going to take a sip of coffee and look through the chat and see what use cases. So interstitial journaling. All right. So we can discuss that one. It was by Justin. And then Baru says, I'm curious how SmartBlocks can help with aggregating blocks beyond what queries can do. Yeah. Maybe you can expand a little bit on that, Bruce, in a bit with a specific use case. Let me first check what other use cases are here. And then Roman says, my very early experience with working with SmartBlocks is that you can only aggregate blocks that are tagged explicitly as opposed to page level queries. Yes and no. It's a little bit nuanced. You can also work quite extensively with dates. Then retrieve and list to-dos from oldest to most recent. Yes, that should be possible. And then let's see, Andy, use case dashboards that appear with with different people. So actions done since last meeting, actions next from each meeting attendee. All right. And then Dan, weekly planner template with individual dates for the week filled in. That is the second one I linked to. So that is plan your week using Roam 42 SmartBlocks. It's basically a step-by-step of how to do it. There's time today I can show it, but I've already shown it before. Let's see, Mike, variables, stacking SmartBlocks. Yeah, okay, variables, that is also possible. So we can get started. So, and then Maria says, I do have a very specific use case, would like to make a list in a new page of all the links I have in another page. Okay. I have no idea yet how to picture that. So I guess what you mean, so just you want to create like an index of all the links that are on one page, right? In all the different blocks. I don't know if that's possible. We can look in the documentation. So where do we actually get started? In the previous office hours, I've explained like my process. I usually write it in pseudocode first. So I want to clarify the use case before actually start building it. So let's get started with one very specific one. We could get started with interstitial journaling. I think that's the easiest. And maybe I can point you towards something. Justin, what do you have in mind specifically when it comes to interstitial journaling? What would you like the template to do?
I guess I was just writing down what I was going to try to work through today. I have a workflow that I use currently. I'm just trying to make it a little bit smarter, like adding some logic to show me different smart blocks based on like the time of day. But I'm a little bit more advanced, so maybe we might want to go something a little simpler.
All right, we'll do.
First one.
Have you seen the interstitial journaling button that's with the start time and the end time and the time elapsed? That might be a nice one to include in your workflow. But yeah, it's indeed a little bit more advanced.
I'll post the link to it though.
All right, so let's go to Baru, because he says, I'm curious how SmartBlocks can help me with aggregating blocks beyond what queries can do. And I think that would tie in with what Maria's asking, although it's probably a little bit different. And then let's see. It could also tie in with what Andy is saying. So dashboards that appear when with different people. So in that case, I would wonder, how would you trigger that? But let's get first started with how we are actually going to retrieve blocks based on a condition. So I think that's where we need to start. And where do we actually find the documentation for SmartBlocks? So if you have Roam 42 installed, in the top right corner, you see this overview of options. One place to check out where you're a complete beginner, apart from the links I've already linked to, you could like look at tutorials, and then you have a few SmartBlock tutorials. They're just YouTube videos. These are by RJ Nestor, so they are, I think, between 10, 15 minutes, so bite-sized. This one is an interview where Brandon Toner is showing how he uses journaling and SmartBlocks. And then this video is really a developer deep dive where Roam Hacker, who used to maintain Roam 42, has a deep dive about how it works. So if you're technically inclined, you can have a look at that, and then you can try to make sense of this spaghetti. But this is really if you want to build advanced workflows. For our purposes, you can forget this. I just want to point it out that there is very extensive documentation, and there is a logic to how SmartBlocks are processed. We're going to start very, very small. We don't need this. We don't need like nested logic and if else and conditional like trees and whatever. So we're going to skip that for now. I'm going to close it. This one as well. And we're going to open the help. And in the help, there is actually an overview of all the commands that we can use. So we can also search for them. I just looked at the Roam 42 website. It's supposed to also contain the documentation. I don't know what happened, but it's not loading. So I've already I've already done a bug report. So, but we can find the blocks here. So when talking about a Roam 42 workflow, I like to, or creating one. Uh-oh, my computer is getting very slow. I don't know what's happening, why it's super slow. I'm going to stop sharing for a bit. Let's see if that helps. Okay, going to try it again. Sorry, people. Normally, like after RoamStack members will know, after about 20 to 30 minutes, my computer will slowly start dying on me. So, all right, sharing again, hopefully a little bit faster this time. Doesn't seem like it, but we'll just get started building. So let's write some pseudocode. And this is just explaining the use case that we're going to build. So let's see if I can bring up the chat, because I clicked it away to see the use cases. So we want to pull specific blocks. We can use variables. So what I was thinking, if we want to retrieve specific blocks, we can say, okay, I want to define a workflow, and it always has to retrieve blocks from a specific page, or it always has to retrieve blocks that meet a specific condition. So I'm going for that one, enter a page, fixed or dynamic. And dynamic, it can be just by typing, and I'm going to show you how. Retrieve blocks that meet a condition. And then, well, I know from a fact that the blocks that are retrieved, they're actually retrieved and then turned into block graphs. So that is just a quirk, but I'll just write it down just for clarity's sake. What else? So what do, like, specific condition, and that can be, for example, a date. Well, you can see how fast my machine is. Could be a date or a link. All right. So let's start scrolling through the documentation. So this is, in my opinion, because SmartBlocks is not that huge yet, it's good to just scroll through the documentation, because as you scroll through it, you are encountered by new commands and functionality. So let's see, block mentions returns a list of blocks that mention a page reference with optional filtering. So let's see what with the page reference. So it has to be a specific name or tag. So in the case of Maria, this wouldn't work because we would need to describe a specific tag or name, but we can use it possibly for some other use case. So useful commands, I'm going to write down. So what I'm showing now, this is the process when I'm building SmartBlocks scripts and I have no idea how to do it. So I would say block mentions, right? What else? Returns to a list of blocks, here, block mention date, based on a specific date range. Okay, so this could be very useful. For example, if you have to-dos that are tagged with a specific tag and you want to retrieve all the to-dos within a specific time range. Or speaking of colleagues, for example, we want to retrieve our latest meeting notes that we write on the daily notes page, and we tag a block with our colleague's name. And then this could be, for example, I want to retrieve all the notes or all the blocks that that are tagged with this colleague's name between now and, for example, 7 days ago or 2 weeks ago. And if we look here, we can actually use natural language. So we can say start date task with a date from today. So we can say before, for example, today and 7 days from now, end date. So I think, okay, this is useful. So this is block mentions stated. So this is really useful to filter, and I feel like we can even make it dynamic. Okay, what else? I'm going a little bit faster now. Dates. Date will be useful when creating. This will be more useful for creating date. No, so we're going to skip that. Let's see what else. Get will be useful for variables, although I'm not sure we're going to save variables in this workflow. And then also we will need set, which is actually to set a variable. We can see if, we can skip that. If day of the month could be useful for daily templates, but now we're just talking about retrieving. All right, input, yes, that one will be very important. All right, so let's just get started for now. I just want to get started with a very simple template. So I want to retrieve. We can get started with, oh wait, in that case, we want to also to do for to-dos. So actually we're going to do 2 workflows. So I want to retrieve all to-dos that are overdue, which is very simple. And then I want to create another workflow very quickly that we can, I'm going for the colleague one. I think that will be the easiest. So for example, The use case will be you write on your daily notes page, and you take notes, and then once it's time to actually have the meeting, you can very quickly retrieve it. So let's get started with that one. The way to get started with a new workflow is to just type JJ starter. When I do that, I get a new prompt. What is the name of the workflow? And I would say colleague status, going for that one. So it creates a new block. And let's see, what do we need to get? We need to retrieve blocks that meet a condition. And the specific condition would be a date, and I think the colleague. So I want to use the block mentions, I think.
Hey, Ramses, I don't know if you mentioned it, but I think you can actually pull up all of these commands by using your SmartBlock trigger too. Like they'll show
Yeah,
up in the
by using JJ, and then you can start typing, for example, block. What was it? Block mention. Oh, JJ block mention. Is this what you mean?
Yeah, I think it shows up with the, yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that is actually what I'm going to use to put them in the template. But I was looking at the documentation. No, that's okay. That's okay. This is an open session. So I want to return a list of blocks that mention its page reference. Let's see. All right. So I hope it's going to work, because I don't know if it's only going to check on the block level or if it's also going to look at the parent blocks or not. So this is a little bit experimental. But let's say I want to have all block mentions dated. I'm going to use as the input. So here first, returns list of blocks mentioned based on the date range. So first is block maximum blocks to return, page or tag name. This will be an input. Number 2, the start date will be an input, and then the end date will also be an input. So I'm just going to put the maximum blocks to 20 for now. For the page or tag name, I'm going to use an input. So I'm going to write JJ input. And the text to display will be what is the colleagues, pull this up, colleagues name. All right, then the second one will be the start date, but it can be natural language. So I'm also going to do again an input, and that will be so start date. I'm just going to call it start date for now. And then for the end date, I'm also going to do a input, end date. And then let's see, 5, I'm just going to do, well, I'm just going to do ascending filtering. So what have we built? We have built a SmartBlocks, smart block or a workflow containing actually one action, but it contains 1, 2, 3, 4 additional. So in total, it contains four commands, and 3 of the commands are nested within the one block mentions dated. So I'm going to do a little bit of experiments. Bruce, please allow me to use your name as a test. So you will be my colleague, and I'm going to yesterday. And let's see. Talked with Bruce about creating SmartBlocks. I don't know, whatever. So now I have tagged Bruce. The block is tagged with June 8th. And that's it. So we should be able to now run it. This is experimental. I don't know if it's actually looking at the date. So we would do JJ. There's only one smart block currently. So colleague status. Ooh, so we already see one issue. There's like the different ones are stacked on top of each other, but we can see if this works. So 7 days ago, end date, start date, today, and then what is the colleague's name? Bruce. Fingers crossed. And it does nothing. So this seems there's something up with, what could it be? No. So I think here, what could be the issue is that maybe it's interpreted wrong. So the inputs, they come up. Colleagues name, everything is asked. So what could be the issue here is that the date isn't checked actually. So maybe I need to do today. If this is not going to work, I will move on to a simpler one with less nested. All right, so now it's actually tagged. Let's see if we can start it again. JJ. All right, let's say, oh wait, so would that be start date? So maybe we should do, maybe I did that wrong. 7 days ago, maybe I did this wrong. Something is not, I don't know if it's my computer, but it's not turning it into. And maybe it's just my computer which is not keeping up. Sorry, people. I don't know what's going on with this. This is embarrassing. Sorry, I have no idea what's going on with this one. Maybe it's just my computer, but it's not turning it. As you can see, it was just saying this at the end. So, or maybe yeah.
How would the smart block know that Berus is the name? Like,
because I put it in. I put it in as a, yeah.
What if you had like many names in the same block? How would it know which one to retrieve?
What do you mean exactly?
Like when you run the smart block, how would it know? Because the input is just what's the name of the colleague, but
yeah.
But how does it know that Berus is the name of the colleague?
Because it will look just for any block that has the link Berus. So I've tagged Berus's name and I put that in as the page name it's looking for. So it should retrieve all the blocks that contain Barus. So actually,
So
Okay,
Ramses,
now-
yeah,
I did the same. Sorry, Maria, that I cut you off. So
No,
I
it's okay.
tried the exact same thing, and it returns an error that says block mention date requires at least 4 parameters. I think, yeah, we provide 3. So what is the fourth parameter that is asking for?
yeah,
I-
that
I'm wondering
is-
if, oh, yeah, you have 20, so you might have 5 parameters in there.
yeah. So, but the 6th one is optional.
Oh, okay. So I'm wondering if it's like having to set the inputs as variables and then I'm gonna write up some pseudocode for it and I'll post it in the chat.
Yeah,
Or-
okay. Perfect. I've chosen a really nice light one. Let's see. I'm just going to continue with another use case because I don't want to spend too long on this complex one. So, Maria, just looking at your question, I've just thought about it a little bit, and as far as I know, it's not possible to retrieve with SmartBlocks all the links on a page. I think there's another way. I'm willing to dig into it later and maybe do a follow-up, but it probably you would need a plugin for it.
Hyperlinks or Roam link, like
Roam
page
links
links.
with the brackets.
could you? Okay. Yeah, you might need to do like custom component for that. Not sure.
Yeah. All right, Roman, let's see. This is also retrieval workflow. The use case I'm interested in is a professional networking. I've people tagged with hashtag people. A smart block would give me a random person as a reminder to connect with. Yeah, that's actually easier. So let's see. I'm just going to get started with this 42 smart block, random or reconnect. I'm just going to call it reconnect. Let's see. Let's grab the documentation again, what we would need. I think we would need to grab a random block. Oh, it's already here. I've seen it go on. Ah, all right. So I think we need a random block. All right.
There's a random block mentioned as well. Is it more relevant?
Yeah, so there are a few options. So random block just grabs a random block from your entire graph. Then you have random block from a specific page. So returns a random block from a page or a child block from a parent block provided in the parameter. So in Roman's case, that could be, for example, people, because he has and Roman, do you have all people on the page people, or do you have, for example, a block name hashtag people and then there are details underneath?
Yeah, I think that's where my challenge is coming from, because each individual would have a page associated with him or her. So which means that what I was saying, that I'm struggling to have SmartBlocks return a page that has certain tags on that page, as opposed to a block that is tagged explicitly with the specific page.
Yeah.
Found that that's one of the limits for me too with SmartBlocks, is not being able to essentially query nested stuff nested underneath tags. It has to be tagged in line in that block.
Yeah. So actually, this is also good feedback, because I work quite a bit with David, so who currently maintains Roam 42 and SmartBlocks. So what would be the need? And I'm just going to write it down quickly. and I'm going to give it to him as feedback because this is not the first time I hear this. So what, Justin, what would be the use case that you say?
I would say the ability to
Roman.
return
Blocks.
pages.
Yeah, so
Based
you would like to see, okay, so the use case would be, I want to look for hashtag people, and then it needs to return not the block that contains hashtag people, it should return the actual page name.
Yeah, the page name in square brackets, for example.
Okay, yeah.
You might be able to do that, just put square brackets around it, right? Or maybe I'm not understanding it. I don't know.
I couldn't find the command that
What you could do, I'm thinking, and let's just test it out, is to put, and I'm just going to use my own name. So for example, it would be people. So not hashtag Ramses out. I'll just basic info about Ramses. So what I've done now, I've added the people hashtag to the page name. So let's see if this works. So random block mention returns a random block from places where the page is referenced. Well, in theory, a Roam page name is a block. So actually a Roam page is a block or a branch of blocks. Right? So you can see a page almost like a parent block. The page name is the parent block. So I think we can just run it without creating a template first. And we can do that by using JJ random block. So as you can see here, these are the commands. But as you can see here, they're already small pre-made workflows. So I can actually do this random block. Oh, wait, this is just a random block. Let's see. All right, so I see I do need to do it. So random block mention. And then page name without the brackets or the hashtag. So it should be people. All right, let's run it. JJ reconnect. And what is this doing? That's strange. So we found a bug in Roam. So it's retrieving it. It's retrieving it. I can tell you because, so this is the M, so it ends in MAU. If I go to people page that I just created, we look at the, we look at the URL. So this is the block reference. It's retrieving the block reference, but it's not showing it because it's a page name. So this is just a bug. I'm going to report this. But I'm also going to write down, I just want to retrieve page name based on block that's on the page. And I would also like to retrieve page name based on tag in the name. Based on tag in the name. This hasn't been glowing promotion yet for SmartBlocks, unfortunately. But let's see. I'm going to check this with both. Well, I'm going to check this with David who creates SmartBlocks, and everyone who is present here, I will send a follow-up by email. So once this is done, Maria, I'm also going to look for your plugin to list all links on a page. All right. Let's continue with hopefully something simpler. Yeah.
So I tried this random block mention with a blog that I know that I mentioned a lot,
Mm-hmm.
like a name of a philosopher, but it does nothing. Basically, it still looks like a, it doesn't transform into the smart block. Although I say JJ random block mention and write the name,
Mm-hmm.
it's as if it's just like a block of text. Is there something with my
No, it's not processing it correctly.
Oh, okay.
So
Right.
it, like, if I would say, for example, I don't know, I would do this hashtag people Ramses out, yeah, and then, for example, less spoken, I don't know, yesterday. So what I could do, so I'm going to run it again, JJ reconnect. Let's go to, okay, now it fetches this one. So now it does work. So the only issue that is it cannot fetch the page names because it turns it into a block reference. Obviously, if you have it like this, so you can have, for example, a page people, but then for every person you want to retrieve a block from, you would need to have a separate list. So, for example, we could create. I'm going to delete this just so that we don't have any issues. So I would create a page people. And then I have, again, here, I need to use people because it doesn't look in the page name, but here I would have Bruce and RoamStack member builds with SmartBlocks, just some random stuff. All right, now what I could do is, so this is a little bit of a workaround. I realized that because now you do have to tag the actual block, but now I can actually do reconnect. I get this block, and then I can do apply children to also get all the children. So, for example, I can use them as references or as text. But what I'm doing now is I use the random block mention, looking for people. Obviously, the limitation with the smart block is that I still had to tag the person's block with hashtag people. But then I can easily get all the context by just clicking it and then apply children. Because if I go to the source block, that's how I've built it up. So the workaround for people who want this, for example, who want this reconnect, I know it's a pain in the ass, but you would need to attach the hashtag people to the parent block that you would, so with the person's name. So that's my workaround I would suggest for now, but I'm still going to mention it with David. Let's see, Bruce, is it possible to also collect unlinked references? Yes and no. So we have search, which doesn't look for which doesn't look for the links per se, but it looks for just a search term. So here it says searches all blocks for a specific string of case sensitive text and returns a list of matching block references with optional filtering. this is a multi-block command. This is multi-block command, some limitations, how it interacts with other commands. Okay. So what we could do is, let's say you have something here, like you have meeting notes, but you haven't tagged meeting notes. And then you say, I don't know, some content, whatever. It doesn't matter. What we could do, we haven't tagged meeting notes. What we could do is actually create a search, SmartBlock. JJ search. Let's see, SmartBlock command, and then maximum amount of blocks to return. I don't know, let's do again 20 maximum, and then I want a string for search. Well, it says there's some limitation to how it interacts with other commands. I'm still going to try input. Hopefully it works. And then search term. All right. Again, experimental. I'm going to look for meeting notes. JJ meeting. Oh, sorry. The search was first step 2. Search. Searcher meeting notes. Does it work? Yeah. So now it retrieves all the blocks that contain meeting notes. So I have set the maximum here to 20. You can set that to any. I think you can even set it. You can even make this an input, and then I use input to enter the search term, but it's case sensitive. If I had more meeting notes, and meeting notes. Just here, have a testing error, so it's a little bit clearer. And now search. And then meeting notes. And here you can see it retrieves them all. And I could say apply children as text. And then you see all the associated meeting notes. So this is a possibility. As you also saw, you don't need to actually create a smart block. So you can also say just search. And here you already see a predefined workflow. Search plain text should work. See, it should work the same way. Meeting notes. And it retrieves them. So that is search. You don't need to create a workflow for it. Let's see. So that is unlinked references. Bruce, for let's see. You also mentioned something else about all blocks that have this p/project name or person. Yeah, you could use it the same way, I think. Or is it another question?
I was just part of the conversation.
Oh, okay.
While you were talking, so I was writing. It was not a separate question. Thank you.
All right. Nora, yes, I'm recording the session. No worries. Justin, you've just pasted a code. Have you? So that would be the colleague status. I see Justin is not here anymore. Let's see. So Justin came up with another smart block for this one. So let's get rid of this. Well, let's see. Can I paste it? All right. Colleague status. So what does this do? It sets a few variables. So it sets variable name, asks for the name. I think this is the secret sauce, no block output. So it means it doesn't actually show it. It's just going to use it as an input for another block. Then set start date. Input would be, I would say, start date. And then let's see the end date. And then it actually uses all the variables that are set. So for those who are somewhat familiar with programming, it will use all the variables that are set as a input for the block mentions data. So actually, I'm going to run this one. Then I see we're also already up to the hour, but I will stick for a little bit longer if there are questions. Let's see. Let's use colleague status. Bruce. Start date. And you see the no block output that prevents that all the prompts are shown at the same time. So I don't see Justin anymore. Start date. I would say days ago. This works. Today. Still not working. Maybe I'm doing something wrong with the.
I tried it too, and I didn't work for me, so I don't know what was wrong there.
Yeah, I'm going to look a little bit deeper into it because these are the workflows I actually want to build and make and publish to the RoamStack knowledge base. Let's see.
To interrupt you, I've really got to go. I've been really eager to continue playing with the examples and having the conversation asynchronously. Where is a place? Have you got a place for doing that? A community on Slack or similar?
Yeah, so there's the RoamStack community, but that's for paying members. I am thinking if I'm opening like a public channel, but for now it's just for the RoamStack members. So when you go to roamstack.com, you can see what you all get, and we do like build sessions like this almost weekly in the community, and these I want to do once a month publicly, just the public build sessions. It's 70 euros a year.
Okay, cool. Great.
Perfect.
Thanks very much. Sorry, I got to shoot. Sorry.
Yeah, no, not a problem. Not a problem. Thank you for attending.
Thanks so much. Bye.
So yeah, what I took away from this session is some feedback on how it actually works. So I think I've collected a nice feature request for David. What I'm actually going to build next is I want to build out this one. So I want actually to build out the template that retrieves all blocks between two dates that are tagged with like a specific person's name. And then we can use apply children to fetch all the related blocks under that parent block. So this isn't working right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play a little bit more with this. Everyone who was here will get a link to the recording. I will also dig into the scripts and get it working. So you will also get a notification with that. And if you have any questions or ideas, simply email support@roamstack.com, and I will answer your questions. I'm also on Twitter @RoamStack. Well, /RoamStack. And yeah, if you're a member if you're a subscriber of the RoamStack newsletter, you will get a notification when there's another office hours. So this will be probably next month again, a public office hours for that, I will try to to already get a list of workflows that people would like to build, so I can already play a little bit, because now this was really just come to me and we'll build it together. Well, as you can see, some unpleasant surprises for me. I got a little bit warm halfway this session, but I still hope it was useful, and I hope it shows that yes, SmartBlocks can be very powerful, but it can also be a little bit finicky. So you do need time to get a little bit used to the logic, do some bug tracing. So again, final remarks. If you just want to use plain text templates, just use Roam-sized templates. You can use SmartBlocks, but the Roam templates are the most stable. And then if you want, if you feel a little bit more experimental, want more automation, you can easily use SmartBlocks, but obviously it's a little bit of trial error. Where else can you look? There is a place, I don't know if anyone is or isn't in the RoamStack Slack, and I will, let's see if I can quickly send you an invite code, because there's a Roam 42 and I think also a SmartBlocks channel, so you can actually get some help with building SmartBlocks. Yeah, let me quickly create a invite link, and that is in the chat as well. So that is the official Roam Research Slack channel or Slack server. And then there is a Roam 42 channel where you can ask questions. I hang there out as well. So if you're not a RoamStack member, you can go there for SmartBlocks. If there are no more questions, I go to close the session. Thank you all so very much for being patient, thinking with me, building with me. And yeah, again, if you have any suggestions or questions, don't hesitate to message me. And I hope we'll be in touch.